Good morning, Will Rogers. Happy summer. We've made it. It's summer SPS. I am so excited. It's Coach N or Miss Nungesser, whatever it is that you call me. And I am still going to be leading in some activities to get you up and moving so that we can stay active and healthy in this time. So, with that being said, we are going to do something really fun this summer. Something that I love so much, usually to watch on TV and to be a part of and feel our country just supporting one another. And that is the Olympics. The Olympics, unfortunately, were supposed to be this summer, but got moved to next summer. The Summer Olympics are now Summer Olympics of 2021. And so we are going to have our own Summer Olympics since we can't watch those other Summer Olympics this summer. So each Olympics is hosted in what they call a host city. It is a big deal to be able to host the Olympics, and it is a great thing for their city when they're able to host them. So our city Olympics are going to be in Will Rogersville, USA. So, Will Rogersville 2020 Olympics. Woohoo! Also in Will Rogersville, you never know what animal sounds you're going to hear. You never know what the weather's going to be like in Will Rogersville. You never know. There might be a car driving by, some fans that want to be a part. So, just a fair warning, Will Rogersville, there's no telling what kind of weather or animals or if the wind picks up. It's all likely here in Will Rogersville, USA. So, since we are doing the Summer Olympics, I'm going to read a little bit from what are the Summer Olympics, and then your own SPS staff has made an opening ceremony, and we are so excited to kick off our Olympics that way, so that will be posted in just a little bit. So, what are Summer Olympics? By Gail Herman. I did not actually have the hard copy of this, so I can't show you the book, but it is on my phone through Kindle, so sometimes technology is my friend, sometimes it's not. But what are Summer Olympics? What are the Summer Olympics? Every 4 years during the summer, athletes from every corner of the globe meet to compete in the Olympics, the greatest sports contest on Earth. For about 2 weeks, athletes test their skill, their strength, and their luck in more than 300 events. Arenas for the Olympics became a world stage with billions of fans following the games on TV. There have been generals, princes, and movie stars who have competed in the Olympics, but more often than not, athletes are ordinary young men and women. Except, of course, they are not ordinary. They are champions in running, jumping, swimming, rowing, cycling, gymnastics, tennis, and soccer. Name any warm weather sport, and most likely it's been played at the Summer Olympics. Weeks before the athletes meet, the Olympics have actually already begun. Where? In Olympia, Greece, the site of the original ancient Olympic Games. There, in a valley surrounded by gentle hills, a mirror is held up to the sun. The rays light the flame on a torch. The Olympic torch will be carried to the city hosting the Games. The journey connects the games of today to the games of the ancient past. Long ago, fires burned in front of the temples to honor Greek gods. Today, the torch is passed from person to person, moving by foot, car, train, boat, plane, through countries, across oceans, over mountains. On the way to Beijing, China in 2008, the torch even reached the highest point in the world, Mount Everest. But no matter its path, the relay ends at the Olympic Stadium of the host city in time for the opening ceremony. The last torchbearer lights a cauldron, which is a giant bowl sitting atop the stadium, and the games begin. The ancient games were in 776 BC through AD 393. The Olympic Games started in Greece in the Valley of Olympia at least 3,000 years ago. Much about them is unknown, but one thing is certain. At first, they were part of religious festivals. The festivals were held to honor Zeus, the king of the gods worshipped by ancient Greeks. The first known Olympics took place in 776 BC, but they may have started hundreds of years earlier. These early Olympics took place on a single day. There was a 200-meter race among other events. Why this length? Supposedly, that was the distance the famous Greek hero Hercules could run while holding his breath. In time, a stadium was built. More races were added and won. Athletes ran in full armor. Mostly, though, they didn't wear anything at all. They ran unclothed. Soon, chariot races were added, as well as wrestling and boxing matches, which sometimes ended in a fighter's death. Before each Olympics, messengers traveled through Greece, spreading the news of the games and seeking male athletes. No women could compete. For each Olympics, thousands made their way to Olympia. Hundreds of tents lined the valley. Campfire smoke filled the air. Magicians and fortune tellers performed. Art and music exhibitions were held. But as centuries passed, people stopped believing in the Greek gods. They lost interest in the games. By AD 400, after more than 1,000 years, the Olympic era was over. In the late 1870s, archaeologists came to Olympia to learn more about ancient Greece and the Olympics. Archaeologists dig up buried objects to find out about the past. The archaeologists in Olympia found bits of old vases and statues. These objects provided clues about the Greek way of life and its focus on having a strong mind and a strong body. News of their findings spread. Many people already knew about the ancient Olympics, but the dig spurred renewed interest in the games. A teacher from France named Pierre de Coubertin was fascinated by this mind-body connection. He thought sports contests could help young people become better students. His goal was to hold Olympic Games again, with athletes from all over the world competing. In 1894, Coubertin met with representatives from many countries in Paris, France. They decided the Olympics would be held every 4 years, each time in a different country. The first would take place in Athens, Greece, not far from Olympia. 2 years later, about 1,500 years after the last Olympics, the modern games began. So that's in 1896. That March, the U.S. team of 14 men sailed for Greece. There were no events for women at all. It took more than 2 weeks by ship and train for the Americans to arrive in Athens. They joined more than 200 athletes from 13 countries, England, France, and Germany among them. To welcome the athletes, there was a special banquet, a parade, and dancing and singing in the streets. The marathon, a long-distance foot race, was the final track event. The Greeks hadn't won a race yet. They wanted this win badly. And crowds had flocked to the stadium, which was built from ancient ruins. It connected the new to the old. The games began like the ancient ones with the sprint. So after their banquet, the official games began with a sprint. And so even everybody can run or walk. So you will see in our Olympics that there may be things that you don't think you can do because you may not feel that you are good at sports. But I promise you can try all of these. And some of them you can use siblings to play against, compete against, or some of them you can just practice on your own, because these athletes that compete in the Olympics practice for years and years. So a lot of times they have to have a lot of self-discipline to train by themselves and with their teams if they're on a team sport. So our opening ceremony is about to kick off, and I'm so excited for Will Rogersville Olympics 2020.